Good morning, everybody. Mike Toy here, National Brokerage. We're going to give it just a few more minutes for everybody to log in. Looks like there's still a few more people dialing in, so we'll get started here in just a minute. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. If anybody has any audio or visual problems, let me know. But it looks like everybody is mostly dialed in now. So again, Mike Toy here, National Brokerage. Today's webcast is going to be on policy reviews and how to do them smarter rather than harder. So it won't be a very long webcast, but it will be an important one because policy reviews are a big part of what we do. I think it gets overlooked a lot. Everybody's guilty, myself too. So we just want to put more of a focus on just doing them, and then how to do them, why they're important, and what they really are and should be, and how we can position them so that clients want us to do them. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. So we're going to start with what exactly is a policy review. It may sound obvious, but it means different things to different people. So just to keep it simple, when you're doing a policy review, typically that just means you're looking at what they currently have and just reviewing it to make sure it's still the most competitive price, it's still the best coverage that they can have. We're looking to see if it's long enough coverage or too short of coverage, all the different things. We're just looking to see what they have and see if there is something that might fit their needs better. Excuse me. So a couple of questions that you can ask when you are looking to do a policy review is just ask them what they have. They may not even know. Oftentimes they don't know. So if they don't know, that's all the more reason to look at it. And another thing that I would say, I heard it said recently, and I really liked it. It's if you make it sound complicated, it is complicated. So just keep it simple. Yes, they can get complicated depending on the policy you're looking at, but for the most part, you just want to position it as, I just want to look to make sure that you are not paying too much and make sure that you have the right coverage that you have in mind that you have, and to make sure it's going to last as long as you think it's going to last, because oftentimes they have no idea. It could expire next week or next year or in 10 years, and they might think it's going to last a lifetime. So those are the kind of things you're looking for, and that's how you position it when you bring it up with a client. So that's what they are. So why do we do policy reviews? We touched on it a little bit already, but just to recap on some of those reasons, you always want to make it sound like it's in their interest, and it is, but at the same time, it'll be in your interest too. But of course, you don't want to make it sound that way. So when you're positioning this to them, the reason why you want to do it is because they can save money. That's first and foremost in most people's minds. I want to review your policy to make sure that you have the best policy for the money, because oftentimes maybe they bought the policy years ago because it was the easiest option at the time. And maybe it's one of the more expensive options. Maybe they did a non-med a few years ago because they were short on time, but now they're willing to do a paramed. So they probably have many more options for less money. So that's how you position that. Oftentimes also, you can get them more coverage. Maybe they're 2 or 3 or 4 years into a term policy, and now that rates are a little lower on term, you can renew that term policy for about the same amount of money and get them longer coverage, and with maybe a few more benefits or features to the policy, like living benefit riders or an LTC rider, something like that. And of course, getting better coverage than the current coverage, that kind of falls in line with the living benefit riders, which I'm going to touch on here in a few minutes too, as far as a good a good way to position that, a good door opener. So now to you, the agent, why do we do a policy review as the agent? Number one reason, new commissions. It's a new policy most of the time. So the only exception is if you sold the policy within, the last 5 to 7 years and you convert it with that same carrier, then you might not get commissions. But other than that, it almost always results in new commissions. So it's a new policy and you're not out knocking doors or cold calling to get it. You're talking to a client that you already have. So it's one of the easier ways to get it as well. In addition to that, it opens the possibility for other products. If you specialize in P&C sales or health sales or whatever your specialty is, or whatever else you dabble in, this is a good door opener to other sales as well. So when you're talking about life insurance, it just opens the door to, well, how's your health now, by the way? Oh, your health is better, or oh, it's worse. So it's a good door opener for that. It also exposes you to new and existing clients, because oftentimes you're building rapport with your clients, and so they're going to be more apt to give you referrals. You should talk to my niece because she really needs this thing that you're talking about. Oh, okay, thanks. So it's just a great door opener, and it's a great way to do it. It's a smooth and easy transition into reviewing policy. So that's another reason why you would want to do policy reviews. And another side benefit that I think gets overlooked, that sometimes it takes a while to see the benefit here, is that you become the one-stop shop for all of your clients' insurance needs. They start to associate you with insurance. Even if nothing results from the policy review today, a year or 2 years down the road, they remember, oh, my agent, he looked at it that one time. Here's a good question. I should call him and see, if this is a better way to go. So that's a good side benefit. And if you do these regularly enough, if you make a habit out of doing them, then pretty soon like I said earlier, they'll be calling you to do policy reviews, and they'll be referring people to you down the road. So it's kind of a later, benefit to you. So it's an investment in your time, I guess, put it that way. So even if you don't make a sale today by doing it, you're setting the stage for later. So that's a big benefit for you as the agent to be doing policy reviews. And then finally, as far as why we do them, it's our fiduciary responsibility to do so. So if your client, I'll give you an example. I'm just going to make up an example. If your client has a term policy that ends next year and they've got a chance to convert that policy now, but you didn't do a policy review and that term expires, and now they can't convert it, and maybe their health is worse, they might come back to you pretty upset saying, hey, you were my agent. I counted on you to tell me about these things. So that's what I mean by fiduciary responsibility. So moving on. Now, the practical side, how do we do a policy review? It may sound simple. Some of this is pretty simple, but I'm going to go over it anyways. You might hear something that you hadn't said before, and it might be a good addition to what you do. Step one on how to do a policy review is to get a copy of what they currently have in whatever form, whether it's a statement or if they have the original policy, great. If they have an in-force ledger from the carrier, maybe they were proactive and asked the carrier for a current in-force ledger. Whatever they have, you just want to get a look at that, because until you see that, it's hard to go anywhere with it. I mean, sure, you can run new quotes and whatnot, but you're sort of feeling around in the dark because you'll have no idea if you're competitive or not competitive. You could be spinning your wheels, so to speak, until you know what they currently have. So get a copy of what they currently have. Another, I guess, last idea on that point is you can also just have them log into the carrier's website. I've known agents that have done that. The client has no idea where their statements are or original policy. They don't know how to do any of that. So the agent just hands them their phone, goes to, carrier.com and walks them through registering and logging in, and boom, accomplishes that in 5 minutes, what could have taken weeks by waiting on the client to call the carrier. So that's another idea. Step two, determine what they want. I mean, just It sounds simple, but it really is that simple. Just determine what they even want. Do they want a permanent policy? Maybe they only want a 10-year term because of some life change that they're expecting, or vice versa. So determine what it is in their mind that they need or want. Naturally, you're going to make your recommendations, which you should, but it's easier to build on their needs and wants than it is to start from scratch, throwing random recommendations out there. So determine what they want. And you do that by figuring out what their current situation is, what they anticipate their situation to be in the near future, mid-future, long-term future. Do they have kids? Are they planning to have kids? Are their kids about to leave for college? All those type of questions. So determine what they have in their mind as far as needs and wants. And then one way you can get that conversation going, and this is a phrase that I would definitely add to your repertoire because it works. It sounds cheesy to us, but it doesn't sound cheesy to them. Just ask, do you have the new kind of life insurance or the old kind of life insurance? Like I said, it might sound cheesy to us as agents because we hear that kind of thing a lot, but to them, it sparks interest. And it gets them thinking, what do you mean the old kind and the new kind? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, well, the new kind, you don't have to die to use. It's got living benefit riders. So if you get chronically sick or critically sick or terminally sick, you can access that death benefit while you're still alive. Oh, no, I guess I don't have that. So there you go. That cheesy line in your mind just, sparked interest and opened the door and really got things going. So I would definitely keep that phrase and use it liberally. So and we can talk more in another webcast about living benefit riders because it really is a subject in itself. It's something that a lot of agents either don't know about or maybe don't know enough about to feel comfortable talking about it or bringing it up. So I'll just say this last thing about it. Living benefit riders just means that they can access the death benefit while they're still alive if they become chronically sick, critically sick, or terminally sick. That's it in a nutshell. So that's a good phrase. And then step 3 is you determine their current health. This step gets overlooked a lot, but it is a big fork in the road when you're doing policy reviews. So let's say you're looking at their policy that they currently have, and they were accepted at preferred at that time. Is their health the same as it was then? Is it better, perhaps? Maybe they were accepted at standard. Who knows? Is it better or is it worse? Because that will determine a lot. If their health is the same or better, you might start looking in the direction of just a new policy altogether, replacing the current one, because they can oftentimes get better rates doing it that way. If their health is worse, or perhaps maybe even uninsurable or highly rated, you might look in the direction of just converting their existing policy. So that's step 3, determine their current health. Let's talk a little bit more about what to look for here. Excuse me. What to look for. Just some good bullet point tips here. Clients' needs, their income. Is their income the same roughly now as it was when they took out their current policy? Is it more? Is it less? Who knows it? But that is a big factor. Family, that's another big life status change. Maybe they didn't have kids at the time. Maybe now they have 2 kids and they're planning to have 2 more. Who knows? So just all the more reason that they need to look at their current coverage, because it is almost guaranteed to be to have their needs will have changed in a case like that. Their home. Perhaps now they own a home, or they've got a mortgage out, and before they had an apartment. So that's another big life change that you'll have to take into account. And one thing I'll say on these two, we have income and family and home. We have a needs calculator on our website. I would highly encourage you to use those, where you can just plug in all the numbers that you have, at least, into the needs calculator, and it will give you a recommendation. So based on their age and their income and their kids and what they have in savings and everything else, this is how much coverage that typically they will need. If nothing else, it gives you a good starting point, and it's something you can do right in front of them as well too. It gets underutilized, but if you use it, and if perhaps it's not a client that you have a strong rapport with, maybe it's a lead that you bought, who knows, or someone who's just new to you and you're still establishing some credibility, it might help you in a case like that. If you're sitting down with them and you pull out your iPad and go to our website, natbrokers.com, and on your way to the needs calculator, and plug it in right in front of them so they can see this is not an arbitrary number that you came up with off the top of your head. This is something that was recommended by a financial institution. So something to look at there. Pardon me. Other needs, changes in needs would be marital status, if they're married now, or maybe they're divorced, who knows. Their health, which we talked about. Inflation, that comes in, especially with IUL sales or UL sales in general. Anytime you're talking to someone who has a UL, especially if they've had it for a while, what I see a lot, regardless of what type of UL it is that it's either doing fantastic and they should keep what they have, or it's doing much, much worse than they anticipated, and it's going to lapse much sooner than they thought it was going to lapse. So it's not just term policies that we're reviewing, it is UL policies. It's especially UL policies. So just something to keep in mind there. And that kind of goes into market changes and opportunities. So those are some things to look at. Retirement, maybe they're having to work longer than they originally thought, or maybe they're able to retire sooner than they thought. So those are just some ideas of what to look for. Now, just to touch on conversions, because conversions are a huge part of doing policy reviews. You're going to find that the sales don't come as frequently as they would when you're buying leads or just generating sales in whatever way you normally do. They're not as frequent, but the ones that you get are going to be so much easier and so much higher of a commissionable premium that it makes up the difference. So just to go into an example here, and this is actually a real example that I had with an agent last year. So client was 59. She had a 10-year term that they had purchased 9 years ago. I think it was actually like 9.5 years ago. The client was approved at preferred at the time, but had since developed cancer, unfortunately. Since that term was about to expire, she would not have been able to get any coverage anywhere. And it was $1 million term policy, $1 million term policy. So her only other option would have been to get a final expense at, maybe $20,000, which would not have worked at all. But because the client did a policy review, we caught this in time, and we were able to convert that existing policy into a permanent policy. And for those of you who don't know much about conversions are when you just simply convert a current policy to a new policy without any underwriting. That's what's great about them. So there's no underwriting whatsoever. So in this example, she had cancer, didn't matter. They don't ask because it's inconsequential. So because of that, she was able to keep her $1 million in coverage at preferred rates. Granted, the premium went up. It went from a $3,000 annual premium to about a $30,000 annual premium, but she was happy to do it because what the alternative is that she would have had nothing. So rather than lose $1 million to her heirs, she was willing and able to pay $30,000 in annual premium. So the agent was happy, the client was ecstatic, and it's all because he did a policy review, and it was just a random person in his database. So that is a real world example that I wanted to share, just some of the actual results from doing these policy reviews. So that's just a little tidbit on conversions. Okay, easiest sales, and they really are. These are the easiest sales. You're not starting from scratch. You're not convincing them that they need coverage. You're looking at, they already know that they need coverage. They have coverage typically. So you're just looking at it and saying, hey, based on this, you could do that and it will save you money. it's a pretty easy sale. I mean, who's going to tell you that, no, I'd rather not save money. I'd rather continue paying higher premiums. No one's going to say that. Now, they're not all going to save money. Sometimes it's a different case where they, maybe will just get more coverage for the same amount of money. But these are just easy layups of sales. And all you have to do is just look at what they have. That's it. If you have sold a lot of policies over the years, then you've already got access to the info that you need. So you don't even technically have to contact them and get a copy of a statement and whatnot. You yourself can go into your database or talk to the carrier to get a statement. If you aren't sure how to do that or where to start, give us a call, because if you wrote them with us, they'll be in your CRM system. It's called the OES, and we can help you filter out, the ones that will maybe be good candidates versus the ones that won't. We can sort of help you, navigate your way through your database. So if you have a database, definitely look through it. I mean, you're probably sitting on a gold mine of opportunities there that you don't even know. And it's just been sitting there this whole time. You might kick yourself a little when you see a few that have expired, perhaps. I see that a lot, where we finally, the agent finally looks into his database and it's like, oh, here's a perfect one. It would have made so much sense 3 months ago had I caught it in time, and it's gone now. So, you'll have that, but it's better late than never. And from that point on, you can catch them. A couple last tidbits. In that OES account where your database is, you can select an option to notify you on policy anniversary dates. So that's just one more automated way that you can stay on top of things, is just turn that notification on so that when a client's policy is nearing an anniversary, you get a notification, text message or email or however you prefer, that says, hey, the Mary Johnson case you sold is coming up on its policy anniversary date. So now you didn't have to proactively remember and go look. It just tells you. And last part on that, as far as being the easiest sales, is something that we touched on initially, which is the residual effect. Even if you do a policy review for someone and it amounts to nothing, let's say you spent a lot of time on it and you look at everything and it just turns out that what they have is still the best option, which you'll have that too. Nonetheless, they will remember that you did that. And later on, could be next month or year or 10 years down the road, they're going to remember that you were the guy who took the time and looked through their policy and made sure it was still the best case, and you had the integrity to tell them that it was still in their best interest to keep what they had. You didn't try to sell them based on your interest. You were looking out for them. And that is something everybody looks for when dealing with insurance agents. So keep that in mind when you're doing policy reviews. You may get sales now, but typically you'll get 2 down the road for every 1 that you get now. So remember the residual effect on policy reviews. Moving on. And we've only got a few slides left, and then I'll open it up for some questions. I see a few already. National Brokerage, who we are, we're not just another broker. It might be easy to think that because of the name, National Brokerage, but we do a lot of diverse things with agents. We offer a lot of tools and a lot of services that most brokers don't offer. So I would encourage you to utilize our expertise first and foremost. Any of our marketing reps here and regional sales managers can help you find those hidden opportunities. I see it all the time when agents have, I got a guy, that story, the story that starts with, I got a guy, and here's what the situation is. Maybe they didn't know where to even go with it, or they thought, no, there's nothing here. And we look at it and see right off the bat that, oh yeah, you've got something big here, because this is what they're paying, because maybe they smoke marijuana. And so they've got standard tobacco rates with this carrier. But turns out this other carrier will give him preferred best. I mean, right off the bat, that there's a slam dunk of a sale that the client didn't know, maybe the agent didn't know, but we know just because we deal with all the different carriers all the time. That's what we do. So I would definitely encourage you to utilize our expertise, lean on our expertise for that. We'll help you find those opportunities. And then we can help you with sales materials and illustrations. So let's say you wanted to show the client, okay, here's what you have, here's what you could have. We can help you with that. We'll help you customize an illustration to show, in black and white, what they could have. And then underwriting guidance. I think that's a big part. You almost can't buy that. Underwriting expertise and a broad knowledge of underwriting expertise is priceless. And so that's something else that we can offer you is to help you, figure out those combination of factors that someone has. Maybe they're, let's pick on marijuana again. Maybe they smoke marijuana and they have diabetes, but they run a marathon, every few years. So it's a strange combination of factors, but that's where we come in. We can help you figure out how that would play out with carriers. And we've got direct contacts with underwriters too. So when we need to, we can just reach out to our underwriter and say, hey, here's the situation. What are we looking at? And, in addition to that, I don't want to harp on that too much, but also we can help you figure out which carrier is running the smoothest at the time. Sometimes carriers have little, speed bumps that they're dealing with at the current time that you wouldn't know otherwise. We can help by saying, okay, like they're a little behind right now. Maybe go this way. They're pretty hungry and they're working very smoothly these days. So those are some of the things we can help you with. And then NB Go. So let's say everything's good and the client is ready to move forward. They like what you showed them. It makes sense, and they want to move forward. They're ready to seal the deal. NB Go is a universal drop ticket service where we take the application on your behalf. It works with about, I'd say, the top 12 or 13 carriers at the moment. Could be more now. So in other words, you run the quote on NB Go quote engine, which is at www.natbrokers.com/NB-go. You go there, run the quote, click submit, put in your information as the agent, put in the client's contact information, and you're done. You don't have to do anything else from that point on. Our application team will call the client on your behalf and take the application, and then it goes to our case management, and they'll scrub the app, send it to the carrier. They'll order exams if exams are needed, APS if that's needed, and then all the case management. And you can see the status of all these cases in real time in that same OES account that we talked about earlier. So if you haven't used NB Go yet, I would highly encourage you to do so because it is the easiest way to do life insurance applications. Our app team doesn't do any selling. All they do is take the app, which is good. That means they're very efficient at what they do, and they're not going to try to upsell or downsell. They'll simply take the app based on what you tell them to take. So if you haven't used it, definitely use it. And with that, that was the last slide. So I'm going to open it up to questions here in a minute. And in the meantime, before I do that, I just want to invite everyone to go to our website, natbrokers.com, to see some of these tools we talked about. And then for more sales tips and tricks and to see some tutorials on how to use NB Go or how to check case status, how to fill out your e-contracting to get appointed, all those type of things, go to YouTube and search for National Brokerage. You'll see our logo there, and just subscribe to our channel. Click like and subscribe. You can see all kinds of videos on sales tips for conversions or term laddering or IUL versus GUL. So definitely go there. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions here. Looks like we've got a few. Let's see. Okay. So, does NatBroker keep a copy of the original policy? That's a good question. Typically, well, I would say it depends because things have changed in recent years where more carriers are doing e-policies. And in a case like that, yes. But for the carriers that didn't do that and they did just a paper copy, especially the ones that mail it directly to the client or directly to the agent and it never came to us, in that case, no. But if we get a copy of it, especially if it's digital, yes, we will have a copy of the original policy. And if not, we can always get it too. So it's digital is always faster and easier, but if it's, if we don't have one, we can always get one. Let's see. Next question. Is there a flyer with this info? Yes. I will be sure to post a flyer. Easiest way to do this too, I'm going to post some information on our Facebook page, which may sound a little bit untraditional, but it really is the fastest and easiest way to get this information. Otherwise, I would have to either send it out to everyone or get individual requests, which just takes longer. So I'm going to post a flyer on our Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/Nat Brokers or National Brokerage. Maybe just search for it. It's either Nat Brokers or National Brokerage, and like our Facebook page, and I'll post all these materials there as well. Let's see. Here's another question. Can we download a needs calculator to our laptop? There's not an individual needs calculator software that you can download, but you can bookmark the spot on our website and save that to your desktop. So essentially, if you've got internet access, it's the same thing either way. If you're not sure how to do that, get with your marketing rep and we can show you. But basically, all you do is when you get to our website and you get to our needs calculator, you would just bookmark it, and then you can save it anywhere. You could save it in your bookmarks. You can additionally save it to your desktop. So there's lots of ways to do it. We can get creative if we need to. Good question. Another question. Can you repeat how to get to NBGO on your website? Yes. So what you do is you go to www.natbrokers.com/NB, like Nat Brokers, NB-go. So NB-go. natbrokers.com/NB-go. And if for some reason it didn't make sense, if you just go to natbrokers.com, there are, I think there's about 2 or 3 different spots where you can just click on NBGO. The little slides go through the screen, and one of them is NBGO, so you can just click on Let's Go. So that's another way to get there. Good question. Thank you. Another question here. Who can I call today for some advice on a policy review I'm doing today? If you have a marketing rep here at Nat Brokers, call and ask for your marketing rep. If you don't have a marketing rep, just call our 800 number, 800-377-6344, and just let them know that you were on the webcast this morning and you needed to speak with the rep for doing a policy review, and they will get you to a rep. Good question. Thank you for asking. Here's another one. Let's see. Let's scroll down here. Any trip incentives anytime soon? I wish. Carriers, I'm noticing, are becoming less and less frequent. I think a couple of them still might do that, but I'm not aware of who does or doesn't. I know there is one carrier actually that still does it, and they're an interesting carrier. So give us a call, and I can give you some more details on how that works. It's important to know the stipulations on those so that you don't spin your wheels for nothing. So give us a call, and we can talk about that. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Are commissions higher on conversions? Yes and no. It's not a higher percentage necessarily. The percentage of commission just depends on the product that you're converting it to, but the actual dollar amounts that you are making will be higher, yes, because a conversion is always going to be a higher premium than it originally was. So higher premium means higher commission. So easy answer is yes, commissions would be higher on conversions in that way. Let's see, a couple more questions here. how do you know when to convert versus just doing a new policy? It's a little bit of an art, a little bit of a science, but as a general rule of thumb, the way to do that is by their current health. So is their health better or worse than it originally was? If it's better, it's usually better to write a new policy. If it's worse, then it'll be worse to write a new policy, so you might just want to convert. So that's an easy way to remember it. If their health is better, it's better to write a new policy. If it's worse to write a new policy. And that's just a general rule of thumb. It may not always apply that way. Oh, here's a great question, actually, that I can't believe I didn't bring up and didn't think about. What if I wasn't the original agent who sold the policy? That's fine. You don't have to be. We can still do a policy review. If they have any of the information on the policy, great, all the better. That'll save a ton of time. But we can still convert it, or you could still rewrite it in any way. So you can do that. Now, in a scenario where you're not the original agent and they don't have any of the statements or anything, we might have to request an in-force ledger from the carrier. That just means, hey, carrier, give us a current snapshot of what it looks like right now. Now, they won't do that for you or I if we were not the original brokerage or agent on the case. So that just means we have to get that in-force ledger signed by the client. That's really all it means. And we have the forms for that. So get with us. We can make it easier than it would be otherwise. So yes, we can still do these even if we were not the original agents. Let's see. Any lead programs? That's a good question too. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. I'll come right back to the lead program. Will this webinar be posted on the NatBrokers website so we can hear it again? Yes, it will be. Also, it will be on our YouTube channel. And I would actually recommend looking for it on YouTube because there will be tags associated with it that way. So you can search for it. And if you go to the website, you'll still find it there. And it shows them in chronological order. But if some time passes and you can't remember exactly when that was, it could be a little harder to find. So if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, there's a playlist called webinars. It'll be in there. And also you can just search YouTube, NatBrokers policy review, and it'll probably be one of the first ones that pops up. So it's just easier to find on the YouTube channel. And these will be posted later today at the latest. So yes. And oh, lead programs. That's a good question. Yes and no. We don't have any lead programs as in like here's a list of cold leads that you can go call. We don't do that because A, they're mostly ineffective and they've already been called 20 times each. And B, because we just don't have a source for that. We don't have to do that because we have enough already. So the yes, as in we're working on a system right now called Insights, or you might have heard of it called Money Guide Pro. We refer to it now as Insights. And with Insights, what it does is it takes your database and it sorts them and aggregates the data so that you can sort it in any way you like. You can say, okay, here's 100 policies I've sold over the last X amount of years. Let's sort by the policies that are going to expire in the next 3 months. Or let's sort by all of the protective policies that I wrote within the last 3 years. You can sort it a lot of different ways. So on that note, I'd say if you have a database that you're not sure what to do with, call us. We can help you put it in a format so that you can do this. It's easy to do. Later on, Insights is probably going to charge a fee for this kind of thing. I'd have no idea what it's going to be yet. We all want to know, but we don't know yet. But right now, there is no fee. And so you may as well do it while you can. That's not a gimmick. I'm just saying that if you look at Insights and everything it does, you'll see why they charge a fee. So get it while you can for free, and we can help you do it. And then it'll save you a lot of time that way too. Let me see if there's any other questions here. it looks like that about covers all the questions. Yep, that's it. Okay. Well, I just want to thank everybody once again for tuning in to the webcast. This was a good webcast. I hope you found it useful. Again, this will be posted on the website later, and look on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for National Brokerage, and you'll see our logo there. Subscribe to the channel, and that way you'll get notified when we post newer videos and sales tips and tricks, and to watch tutorials on how to do these type of things. Like actually step by step, you'll see a mouse clicking around saying, click on snapbrokers.com, click on NBGO, and then you want to click on this, type in that. So there's going to be a playlist for tutorials, a playlist for webinars, and then a playlist just for sales tips that you can use. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Give us a call, and hope to talk to you soon. Thanks again. Bye.